Just so you know, this show is about scary stuff. So don't say I didn't warn you guys. And remember, don't be scared.
Episode 83. Witness. War Baby here with another episode of Murderous Minors. In a rare move, Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania Judge Patricia Corbett handed down a sentence for murder designed to give the teen defendant the opportunity to rehabilitate. Though she admitted that she knew that, quote, people will probably find fault with my decision and I don't blame them. All I can tell people is that I try to do my best and pray to God for guidance. When the teen, 16-year-old Aazis Richardson, was questioned by Scranton, Pennsylvania police following his arrest on May 23, 2014, he told them that he had been involved in the heartbreaking 2013 Christmas Day triple shooting on Schley Street in Newark, New Jersey, a little under 2 hours away where Richardson had grown up. That Christmas Day had begun bloody and with a mass shooting and triple murder having already taken place just after midnight in nearby Irvington. On this episode of Murderous Minors, now that Christmas is over, we'll look at a few teens whose homicidal actions changed the holiday season forever. Aazis Richardson was there and he revealed as much following his arrest 5 months later. The teen defiantly told Scranton, Pennsylvania police that he was a gang member, a Boynton Boys Blood in Newark, New Jersey, and that he was a murder suspect there. He was never charged in the Christmas Day murders. However, less than 5 months later, Aazis Richardson would use a 9mm pistol he bought in Newark for $175 and commit murder in Scranton. Just before 1 a.m. on May 23, 2014, a woman phoned into McCarthy Flowered Cabs in Scranton and requested a taxi be sent to Washburn Street, but called soon after to cancel. A few hours later, the dispatcher answered a call from presumably the same woman, asking a cab be sent to the same address as the earlier request. 47-year-old father of two, Vincent Darbenzio, had been driving for McCarthy for about a month and a half. It was an easy transition for the divorced, hard-working mechanic who had grown up in the area and needed work when he left his last auto shop. Family members revealed to the Scranton Times-Tribune that Vince had difficulty determining how he fit into his sons' lives following his split from their mother. Though not separated by much physical distance, the father was troubled by the new situation and resented the breakup as it was not necessarily a mutual decision. The emotional upheaval of their 13 years together coming to an end sent Darbenzio into depression and an addiction to gambling that led him toward financial chaos. But all the while, he helped support his sons while looking ahead to the time where they could concentrate on being together. But that day would never come because when Vince was dispatched to take Aazis Richardson from Washburn Street to the Valley View Terrace apartments, the teen viciously shot him twice in the back of the head. Richardson had only been 16 years old for about the amount of time that Vince Darbenzio had been driving for McCarthy Flowered Cabs, and after shooting him dead, the teen pulled him partially from his seat to rob him of $500 from his pockets before leaving on foot. Per the criminal complaint, friend and co-worker Robert had a bad feeling when Vince stopped communicating with dispatch around 3:15 a.m., so when it came time for someone to investigate, Robert went himself. He felt obligated because he had gotten his friend this job. There on Crown Avenue, just outside the Valley View Terrace apartments, Robert found Vince dead. His feet were still near the car's pedals and his legs in the seated position, but his upper body leaned out the driver's side door so far that his forehead was touching the street. That was how his friend found him, and the search for his killer began by tracing the origin of the call that requested the cab. The phone number was linked to the address at Washburn Street, which they then watched, spotting Aazis Richardson without knowing he was their shooter. Their suspicions were piqued when they went to speak with the caller and her neighbor with an adjacent front door, as they had seen Aazis come and go from both. However, he did not materialize when they canvassed the homes. No one even answered at the caller's house, even though investigators had just witnessed someone let Aazis in. But next door, a man was home, and he gave police permission to search his apartment. In the attic he shared with the cab caller's apartment, police found Aazis hiding and took him into custody. The woman who lived next door didn't answer until police called her and let her know they were outside. She said she was inside asleep with her boyfriend. She admitted to calling for the taxi both times in the overnight hours, but insisted that it was just a favor for the dreadlocked guy who often hung out next door. The couple had no explanation for why that guy had just been seen entering their apartment and was then found hiding in their shared attic. When questioned, Richardson initially denied involvement in the robbery and the murder, saying he fled after an unknown assailant shot and robbed Vince Darbenzio when they'd reached their destination. But after some coaxing, the teen admitted that he had robbed and killed the man and discarded the $500 in the woods nearby, but it was never recovered. He then led them to his cousin's apartment in Valley View Terrace, saying the clothes he wore during the shooting were inside, before pointing to blood on his jeans and confessing that he'd never changed at all. At the station, Aazis Richardson readily gave up his motive, saying that even though he tried to offer shortcuts, Darbenzio continued to drive his own route, effectively ripping him off of 42 cents. He made the man pull over at the entrance of Valley View Terrace and executed him before stealing his money. In regards to the shortcut scenario, it was reported that for weeks after their co-worker's murder, cabbies from McCarthy Floward would drive the route from Washburn Street to Valley View Terrace apartments themselves to see if there was indeed a faster way. The confessed shooter next told police he slept at his cousin's apartment before walking back to the Washburn Street address and hiding in the attic with the murder weapon once he saw the police were outside. At this point, Aazis disclosed his supposed involvement with the gang, as well as in the Newark murders of the previous Christmas, where a 15-year-old unnamed gunman killed 3 other teens. Though he claimed to be a once-jailed suspect in the slayings, it's more accurate to say that he was standing near 2 friends when they were killed in a drive-by shooting. He had been a witness to homicide. It was Christmas night 2013 when the 15-year-old shooter fired at the front of a 3-story multifamily home on Schley Street in the South Ward of Newark, New Jersey. The motive in that shooting turned out to be a girl. Police alluded to the fact that one of the victims was alleged to have flirted with the shooter's girlfriend. Though police never publicly announced which of the 2 male victims was the intended target, or if it was even one of them, since as we know, Aazis and at least 1 other teen were in the vicinity. Killed as a result of the shooting were 15-year-old Kasson Morman, who was over visiting 14-year-old Abdul Frazier, who lived on the ground floor, and 13-year-old Zainee Hailey, who lived on the top floor of the building and was taking out the garbage with her 7-year-old brother. Kasson Morman, a student at Central High School, was about to become a first-time dad and was known for his love of dancing. He lived close by with a large extended family and had come over to visit 14-year-old friend Scooter Frazier, a pseudo-family member who attended Wequahic High School and had just become a new father himself. The barrage of gunfire rained down just after 10 p.m. on Christmas night, striking the friends when Scooter opened the door to let Kasson in, and hitting 13-year-old Zainee after she and her little brother had deposited the family's garbage down at the curb. The siblings had just gotten home from celebrating Christmas at their grandfather's home, and Zainee had gone out front with her 7-year-old brother to bring the trash down, and raced to see who could make it back the fastest like they did every week. He made it back without realizing that those fireworks he'd heard were really gunshots, and that his big sister had been struck down in the foyer of their building. They had a brand new sister born just the day before the shooting, and 5 other siblings as well. Their Christmas Day deaths put the city of Newark past 100 homicides for the year 2013, a feat they had managed to avoid since 2006. A week later, the unnamed 15-year-old was arrested and charged, and in November of 2014 took a plea deal that encompassed 2 crimes in total. As it turned out, this same teen had taken part in a previous Newark murder as well, just days before Kasson, Scooter, and Zainee were killed, when on December 21, 2013, 18-year-old Reginald Terry was shot and killed. The New Jersey City University freshman was thought to have been struck while attempting to intervene in an altercation near a party he was attending. The gifted student and talented fullback on the football team was known affectionately by many as Goose, and was at a party in downtown Newark when he was struck by bullets thought to be for someone else. 18-year-old Damiar Pendergrass and 19-year-old Raekwon Langford were apprehended soon after the shooting. However, the unnamed juvenile took longer to locate, though his image from a surveillance camera was heavily publicized even weeks after the murder. He was arrested on New Year's Eve day, just before Zainee Hailey's family laid her to rest. The plea deal for the unnamed teen resulted in a juvenile sentence of 40 years in prison for being the shooter on Christmas Day and for a weapons violation related to the shooting death of Reginald Terry. As a juvenile, he technically received an indeterminate sentence, so in reality, the parole board can release him when they consider him to be rehabilitated. Zainee's father told the press that he wasn't, quote, satisfied with the justice and that the teen should have received life in prison. So the Christmas Day shooter received a juvenile sentence of 40 years in prison, and Aazis Richardson escaped the day as neither a victim nor a suspect but a witness, ultimately landing in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Reports indicate that Aazis was already on probation that Christmas Day when bullets flew for a gun charge he had picked up when he was 14, and his probation officer determined he wasn't safe staying in New Jersey. His mother led a wayward, troubled life herself and was frequently homeless or in jail. Following her son's arrest, the court had to order her to be in attendance on his behalf. Lackawanna County Judge Trish Corbett touched on the violent, tumultuous environment in which Richardson had grown up, and she also compared him to Charles Manson before sentencing him to 45 years to life. The judge reflected on the teen's upbringing in the, quote, war zone of Newark, New Jersey, and how such an atmosphere helped breed this killer, adding, quote, "You'd say, well, sure he did, why wouldn't he? It's all he knew." Then went on to add that, quote, "People will probably find fault with my decision, and I don't blame them. All I can tell people is that I try to do my best and pray to God for guidance." Within hours of being arrested, Aazis Richardson had lashed out at the victim, saying, "That's what I do to people who don't listen," as he was being escorted out of the Scranton Police Department and past a mass of local reporters who were questioning his motive. He made other comments about how his friends had died. About his family, he said he loved them, but to Vincent Darbenzio's family, he said fuck them. Heartless comments are what Aazis Richardson left this community to ponder as he prepared for trial, but at his sentencing in October 2015, he tried to rescind his past statement.